Good evening, good evening, and happy Sunday, everybody. It's another Sunday and another episode of Chit Chat Podcast. Welcome, 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 and come on in onto the podcast and check in. Today is an open chat session today, so we're just gonna be chatting. So whatever is on your mind today, we got open chat discussion. So we're gonna chat about some things whatever. So check in with us. Let us know how you're doing, where you're checking in from. If it's your first time checking into Chit Chat Podcast, let us know. We'd love to know who's checking in for the first time. And we love to know when we have new guests that are logging in or checking or subscribing to Chit Chat for the first time as well. So, and if you are, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm your host, Shadana. I go by Shan. And it is a great pleasure to have you on as part of our audience in Chit Chat Podcast, where we chat all things women. But today, since we have an open chat session, we like to open our chat session up to all of anybody. So our men get a chance to chat in with us on open chat session. So and we chat about anything. One of the first things I do like to do when we have open chat sessions is I like to check on everybody, see how everybody doing. But before we get started with that, since we're in the football season and it's football Sunday. How about my Bucks? Look, I'm mad that we had to pull off another doggone win in the last seconds of the doggone game, and they better get they ish together because we've been doing that for the last 3 Sundays. But nevertheless, a W is a W. Go Bucks. I'm a Bucks girl. So yeah, we got that W at the last few seconds of the game. So yes, it's Bucks life over here. So I don't know who your team is. So put in the chat who your team is and if your team represented today. But my Bucks put that W in today as well on Monday night because we played on Monday night for Monday Night Football as well. So we got 2 W's in a week. So yeah, we doing it. So we holding down the South right now. I'm not even going to talk about one of them other South teams that had that egg today. They didn't even pinch nobody on the field, and I'm surprised with that because that's who our contenders are in the South. So I won't even talk about them birds today, but they know who they are. But and look, we were thinking we ain't got to worry about the Panthers and the Saints. The only thing we got to worry about is the Falcons. But how the Falcons played today, look, we may not even have to worry about them either. But let me stop talking because the way my Bucks been like playing the last 3 weeks and we've been pulling off W's in the last second. I don't know what the heck we got going on, but we better get it together. But they're going to get it together because I'll be at the San Francisco, the 49ers game. And I'm going to have access to have a little chat with them in the locker room. So I'm going to have a little, chat section with them at their little practice and let them know, look, we can't be doing this. We can't be doing this. Y'all don't have my blood pressure up for the last 3 weeks. And we can't be doing this. Your girl about to retire. I don't need to look like I'm in retirement age. I like how I'm looking young, retiring young. I want it to stay that way. But the way y'all doing with these games, we're not doing that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have a little chit chat with my Buccaneers before that 49ers game so we can pull that off when I go to that game. But all jokes aside, I'm glad that we're doing our thing and we're holding down the South because I'm a football girl and I love it. This is my favorite time of the year. I'm a football mom and I was a football mom and I'm a football girl. And so me and my sisters, we all love it. We all love it. We all love football. So when you get us together watching some football, it's just like dudes be like, dang, they know more about this than a dude do. Dang right. You dang right. So yeah, you can't challenge none of us. I feel like I can go out there and coach football. I'd be like, I feel like I can go out there and coach it. That's how much I love it. So I always said I was gonna go out there and like be a referee, be an official. But my daughter said, Mom, you can't do that because you be too into the game. You be up there watching the game, be too into the game. You can't even make the calls right because you're too into the game, which is true because I get too passionate and be too into the game. I'll be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why were you, yeah. They'll be like, get her out of here. She ain't making the right calls. She missed that call because she too focused on the play and what they was doing. So yeah, I can be official, but it's a good thought though, because I know a lot to be an official, but I'll miss it. I'll be too engaged in the game and too excited. But anyways, how everybody doing? How are you guys doing? I want to check your temperature, how everybody's doing. We know that September is Suicide Awareness Prevention Month. And so I do want to do a temperature check with everybody, see how we doing. I know a lot has been happening last couple of weeks. We had, I know a lot of, division and some, debates going on across the country with some things with the assassination of Charlie Kirk and all of that. So I'm just trying to check the temperature. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? How are you guys dealing with what you think the dynamics and the energy and the temperature of things based off of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks? How are you guys dealing with things? Do you think that things are starting to anticipate? Are you anticipating things starting to increase, or do you think there's things that you just not concerned about, like you don't care one way or the other? Because I definitely think that we do need to keep our ears and eyes alert to certain things, and that we need to make sure that we're not blindsided by distractions, and that we be sure to be engaged on all levels to make sure that we get all the facts and all the things needed to be sure to make concerned and factual decisions when it comes to anything that you make related to stuff on that level, especially if you're on like a platform, because you want to make sure you have details related to certain situations. You want to make sure you have all the details. A lot of times people don't have the details. They just say what they think they know or what they heard or whatever. And when you don't have all the details, you can't go off stuff that's not factual. You put in stuff out there that's not factual. You can't go off stuff that's not factual. So, especially when it comes to stuff in a political arena and stuff of that nature. So, things like that tend to kind of divide and tend to kind of aggravate a lot of it creates tensions and tends to kind of aggravate a lot of different things, and can create and it can wreak havoc. It can wreak havoc on so many levels. So we have to be mindful of that. But on another level, so since we're checking the temperature on that, I want to on my young folks. So I have to make sure I check with my young folks too, because I have young listening a young listening audience as well, because I have my daughter. So she have her little followers that's a part of our audience too. So Cardi B released her album, and if those of you who have not heard it, I'm not a fan of Cardi B's, but I have listened to her. I have listened to her music, and I listened to this new album. I haven't listened to it entirely, but I have listened to what I have listened to. Let me just say, um, it's a savage, it's a savage record what I've heard so far, and I think it's definitely a album that screams um uh comeback when a woman has Jada said 10 out of 10 or 12 out of 10 in the car volume on 40. Yeah, it's a definitely a comeback at the maximum level. And it definitely screams, um, be careful what you do to a woman, because sometimes how you think you leave a woman, she might come back better than what you think you left her. Because sometimes people think, oh, you know, they doing damage to a woman or whatever, and they feel like that damage, might put a woman down or whatever, and cause her to, do a lot of work for her to, get back to where she need to get back to or build herself back up. Baby, if her ex-husband thought that he had damaged her, and if he did anything, he caused her to build herself up 10 times and cause her to wreak havoc for him and any other man that think that they're going to come and cross her and play in her face ever again. Like, if an album says this is my boundaries and I'm creating new ones as well, that's what that album screams for me, what I've heard so far. So if you haven't heard it, I mean, some of y'all may not be, and if not, if you so holier than thou, trust me, if you so holier than thou and you too religious to listen to it, don't listen to it. That ain't for you. But you know, I listened to it, and I'm a saved woman. I listened to it, and first of all, I was listening to her song outside in the summer, and I was loving it. And so so that what made me want to listen to this album completely when it came out, because outside was part of it. And so yeah. And so because I can kind of relate, because I've been on this healing journey or whatever, and and she speaks so much of what any woman who has experienced a heartbreak, betrayal, or anything like that, you get pieces of it out of it. You're just like, girl, like what? Like, even whether you say sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, or you're a woman, so you're gonna be able to relate, because betrayal has no limits. It has no, it does not identify if you're saved, unsaved, or whatever. If you're a woman and you dealt with those things of that nature, you're gonna understand it. And so and it, yeah, it I get it. I got it. So those of you who wants to listen to it, and and can listen to it, and you will understand what I'm saying. You will understand. Jay said, I love when women are looked at as underdogs, because that's all it takes, is for a man to play in my face for me to show you. Like, seriously. Like, I bet he's sitting there. I bet he's sitting in a space of regret, looking dumb, because her dollar signs is just going like ching 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 all the way to the bank. Because at the end of the day, don't nothing motivate you really, but things that people do to try to bring you down, you know. And we saw it kind of play out in social media or whatever. I mean, they both said things to each other ugly, in the public arena, on social media stage. However, we saw how harshly he tried to, say and do things and portray her or whatever. But, we knew that, the display of his betrayal of all that kind of stuff that had happened. So, you know, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you ain't got to say nothing. She ain't have to say nothing. All she had to do is let this record come out. She ain't had to say nothing. Girl, like I said that on my morning nugget. I do morning nuggets every morning on my way to work. So if you haven't checked it out, go to my page every morning because I do like a morning nugget, morning motivation kind of thing. And so I think I did that on it was either Saturday morning or Friday morning. I did a morning nugget and I spoke about that, you know, and sometimes, that's what motivate you. When people prey on your downfall or when people tell you you can't do something, then it motivates you to prove that you can. And I was talking about how, my son used to tell me how people used to say this or if, people would be jealous or would call you names. And my mom used to say, baby, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. And so but I've never been one of those people that worry about what people thought. And I'm so glad I haven't ever been that kind of person. So if people didn't like me, that's a you problem. That's a them problem. you know um do I love people? Absolutely. But I have too many people that I love and that love me to be worried about if there's two, three, four, five people who don't like me. And so I can't be concerned with that. And then I can't be concerned about something that I don't know about. If you got a problem with me about something I don't know about or something you think you know concerning me and you haven't talked to me about, boo, that's a you problem. And so, but yeah, I talked about that on my morning nugget. And I said, um, you know, the way you silence your haters is you do the things that will make them shut their mouth. And that's what I used to tell my son. I said, you shut their mouth on that football field and in that classroom. And that's exactly what he did. When you graduate in the top 5% in your class and you go to an Ivy League school fully paid for or whatever, that's how you shut their mouth. you know and I don't say nothing to people because my accolades speaks for me. I don't have to say anything. How I take care of me and mine, that speaks for me. Nobody does that but me and God. God gets all the glory for what Shadonna does and what Shadonna do for her kids or whatever. So, so that's why I don't give leeway of answering to anybody or what they think or what a hater thinks of all that kind of stuff. But it does motivate me, because baby, if you think you mad now, you know, stay tuned. I'm gonna give you some more stuff. That's what motivates me. And it's not about me being arrogant or whatever. It's just something in me that drives me because stuff like that just drives me. When stuff like that happens, you can't tell. When you have people who are driven like that, you can't tell people stuff like that and thinking it's going to keep them down. It's going to motivate. Sometimes it's going to motivate those people. Now there's some people, true enough, that it might break them. And I said that yesterday on my yesterday's nugget. I talked about how sticks and stones may break your bones. We used to talk about the riddle. We used to always say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words may never hurt you. And I said words can or cannot hurt you. And I said, but you have to choose if words can hurt you or words cannot hurt you. And that's entirely up to you. That's entirely up to you because you as a person have to determine that, because if you know your self-worth, you're not going to let words hurt you. I don't give a flip what somebody think of Shan. What they say of Shan about Shan is not going to hurt Shan because I know who Shan is and I know whose Shan is. So if God says I am fearfully and wonderfully made, then I can care less what somebody else says because they didn't make me. They didn't create me. And then I also know, because I'm a child of God, nobody has no hell or heaven to put me in. So I don't answer to them at the end of my life. I answer to God. So when I look at life in that perspective, I don't I don't spend that energy worrying about those kind of things. But I was trying to relate a message how we used to say that riddle and how words can or cannot hurt people based off where people are. Because some people are not that strong. Some people don't have that sense of self-worth where they're strong enough, where they don't let words hurt them. Some people ain't built themselves up. Some people need validation from other people. Some people look for that from people to make sure that they have that self-awareness or self-validation, or I don't need that from other people. So but it behooves whoever to know who you are first before you allow other people to dictate who they think you are, who they think you should be. And definitely don't put on a facade, or definitely don't fake it till you make it, or pretend or put on this mask, because at the end of the day you can only do that for so long, and then at some point the mask gonna fall off, and then what? And then you giving somebody a false facade of who you were, a false representation of who you were, false pretenses, a false representation, so that's not fair either. So we have to be careful with that. Jay said she had an album release party and he posted him holding a woman up in a mirror saying back in that mode, then deleted the picture. And that's and that sounds so, it's immature, and it makes him look so like, I mean, it just sounds dumb. The post, and I see why he deleted it, because a lot of people probably say, how dumb you sound, dude. And you know how dumb you look. Men don't think. They think the actions that they do, think that it's gonna hurt the person that they call themselves trying to hurt. It's only hurting themselves. It's hurting themselves, and it's hurting their image. So it lets me know that he probably don't have people around him. And this is another thing that's important. The people around you, your circle. It's important to have people around you in your circle. That's important. That's vital. Because the people around you that's in your circle, they should be able to check you on those kind of things. Dude, take that down. You shouldn't even posted that. Dude, don't say no crazy mess like that. Dude, don't do no crazy mess like that. That's crazy. Why do you even do that? What sense of that? What are you gonna get out of that? So people in his circle should be checking him. What friends, family, whatever, they should be checking him, holding him accountable, not enabling that mess. Because when they enabling that mess, they look just as guilty. They look just as guilty. Because how y'all sitting there ha ha and he about the situation and thinking it's cute or funny. I mean, you look just as dumb as he is, if not dumber. Because half of the time most people be older. So yeah, people just have to be wise with situations, and then with those who are around them. If people are not going to be wise, then they need to have wise counsel around them. So those people who are going to be wise enough to say, hey, when I get out of line, check me on that. When I get out of line, pull me to the side and check me. And I don't have no problem with that. I have Facebook friends that are checking me. That post said that wasn't you. And I don't have no problem with somebody checking me, because I can get in my flesh. And there's plenty of times I don't want to get in my flesh because people don't came at me. I don't be wanting to be godly all the time. Like I like giving y'all inspirational and motivational stuff. But behind the scenes, if y'all knew how much stuff I dealt with, and how much ill will stuff I deal with, then y'all would be thinking like, oh my gosh. But I still keep it classy. But at the end of the day, sometimes I want to get in my flesh, and I have. And so, and needless to say, I'm human. And but I tell people all the time, I have not been saved my whole entire life. You know, I, I'm holy, but I am a country girl, so I am holy, and I also can be hood. You can take it how you want to take it. But at the same time, I'm a prayer warrior. I can lay hands and I can lay hands. Take it how you want to take it. But don't ever, think that because people, you know, um, are being have given themselves, away. Yeah, holy, but you're still human. Exactly. And I think people take that for granted, and they be want to cross you and take you, um, you know, they want to poke the bear. And so, and sometimes they don't realize that, you can only poke the bear for so long, and God understands that, we're going to be tried and we're going to be tested or whatever. But um do understand that, yeah, there's times that, yeah, I do be want to get in my flesh. But oftentimes I choose to still be inspirational and motivational. So, but hi Darisha. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Holy but still human. Yes. Holy but still human. But yes. So but yeah, I wanted to also, I know that I wanted to bring up something also pretty serious too. I know y'all probably like, what what we don't know. I don't know anything. But I wanted to talk to you guys on a more serious note as well. Like, do you guys have an emergency plan? Like, if there was like a if there was like some kind of global conflict, or you know disaster preparedness thing that happens, is there something that you guys have and in place, that's like an emergency plan for your family or for you? And if you're single, definitely, if you're single, and I'm talking to like my single folks, my single moms, my single women, where especially for you guys. And I say this because I want us to be very cautious in like preparing things, because we're living in times where things like this could happen in any given moment. And you know being prepared will be um, proactive. And us being proactive would be more of a blessing to us than anything. And so I wanted to bring that up today as well. And it will also get us in a place where we're not stuck. And I don't want to bring this up to scare anybody either, but I want you guys to be prepared. And so emergency plans that are in place that allows you to have things that, like anything can happen. Like if um there's something that the city your city becomes unsafe, and the city shuts down, internet shuts down, there's some conflict, and they're saying that people can't travel, the travel system is down. I just want people to be prepared for that kind of stuff. I know that I am doing some stuff at work for our you know different plans that we're doing, and so we're practicing preparing for that, and I'm getting our guys ready and getting kits and different stuff ready for that. So that's why I'm bringing it up to you guys. So I want to make sure that you guys have stuff prepared and planned just in case. And I say that because there's so much going on, you don't want to be caught off guard. So I'm gonna give you guys some pointers on some things that you might want to consider in having your emergency plan in place. Okay. And so and so and definitely if you're a single person, like I really need you to take notes of this and have, because you need, and I got some of this stuff from I seen that some of this stuff I knew from our plan stuff, but I got some of this stuff from another girl that was talking about it on Instagram as well. And I forget her name, but I'm gonna give her credit for that as well. But you definitely want to have if you don't have a passport, you definitely need to have a passport. Um, a second form of ID. You already know that, you know, as far as traveling with, you know, if you plan to like travel via airplane or tickets or whatever, you need to have that. But also, you need to have, you need to be having some cash, cash on hand. And I think you need to, you know, and this is probably, I would probably say about $500 to $1,000 in cash. Um, on hand, and I would say low bills, because low bills are easy to you know, easy to spend. If a system go down, you know, in cities or whatever, it's easy to spend lower bills than big time dollar bills. Like $100 bill will be hard to spend if there's a system that goes down, or cities crash, or all this kind of stuff, you know, cash system crash, all that. Use lower bills, 5 tens, nothing over 20s. But I would say lower bills. Make sure you have so a cash system saved up for that. And then you want to make sure that you have like um, a safety net of um, support, a support safety net between states. So like I have family in Georgia, I have family in Alabama, and I have you know, I have family in different states. So if me and my children had to leave Virginia to get to, like we're going through the different states to get to wherever our emergency plan, um, um, exit plan is to our location. If we're leaving between those different states, we have a plan. We have a safety net plan to contact people in between those states to have a safety net. And that's very important because you don't know how each state is going to be doing or are handling their state um, emergency plan, their emergency shutdown, or whatever. So if I'm in Virginia and I'm trying to travel to Georgia and I got to go through, you know, North Carolina, South Carolina, and all these other states to get to Georgia, I need to make sure my folks in North Carolina or South Carolina or whatever, I can reach them. So that way, if I can't get to Georgia, there's my people in those states that I'm connected to or whatever that I'm having contact in between. So, you know, that's what I'm talking about. So that way, and when I'm saying contact, I'm talking about like names, numbers, addresses, kind of thing. And make sure them people have your information, because, you know, we living in a time where you call people and they be like, I don't know that number, I ain't answering. My sister is very bad about that. I didn't know that number. I call her from my work number and she told me, I didn't know that number. Girl, it could have been an emergency. Answer the phone anyways. If it was somebody you didn't know, you could have hung up. You know, just don't not answer the phone. If you knew it was a number from DC, who else you know in damn DC? You know, so it's just those kind of things. You got to be able to make sure that those people know you, or, you know what I'm saying, or know your number, kind of thing. Because people be like, I ain't know that number. I don't know nobody from such and such, you know, whatever. So make sure these people know, you know, you, and know your number or whatever. And then make sure that you have like a to-go bag. So when you have a to-go bag, this bag has not only some item or clothing in there for you, but it has your important stuff like your ID, money, clothes, your important information like the addresses, information of your family, insurance information, or important papers, kind of thing that you need, that you don't want to leave behind, and all that kind of stuff. And then, you want to make sure those are essential items that you keep in that to-go bag, because you want to keep those things with you. And then, And when you're, and if you had to like pick up and relocate somewhere, we've seen it happen when people have disaster there, like when they had Hurricane Katrina, and people had to migrate and relocate and pick up and live somewhere else. Make sure that you have opportunities, and you're getting um, you're getting certifications and opportunities and trainings on other areas outside of your jobs, like that you can do for work. Because a lot of times when people have to uproot and do other things like that, or to relocate or migrate, after a disaster or preparedness or whatever, they don't have skill sets that can, and it takes them a long time to find jobs. But if you got certifications, or you got like a desk job where you can do things from home, or work from home kind of thing, or whatever, where you can monetize and make money, those are the kind of jobs that are going to be, great jobs, because those are portable jobs. You can work them from anywhere. And so you want to make sure that you can kind of like get certified in those kind of jobs, coaching jobs. If you trying to do stuff like what are some other jobs like that? Coaching, counseling, teaching, those kind of jobs that are, that you can do anywhere, that you can do remotely or whatever, the kind of thing. So, those are important. And so, and then you make sure that like healthcare and all those kind of things are intact and in place, health insurance, those kind of things. So that way, if there's any vital needs that you have or your family have or whatever, you guys have those necessary, wherever you go, you guys have those necessary benefits to be able to use. Um and so um and and when you're networking, and when you're moving like that, network with people, or those people that you're utilizing. Like if you don't have the family members that you're utilizing within the local states, like I told you, like if you have family in different states, and it can be friends. Like I have military friends like all over, so sometimes it may not be my close family friends in these different things. It might be people that I was stationed with before, and they live in such. So that I might can connect with them. Me and my kids can go to their place or whatever for a night or two, stuff like that. And so if it's like military people or whatever, make sure it's people that you can, trust. And if it's stuff like that during a time like an emergency plan, you want to make sure it's people that you can trust, and then make sure it's somebody that you keep vital in that circle, or that plan, in that emergency plan, that's either a healthcare person, so they'll know and keep you up to date on something with healthcare, or know something about the hair care, or can get you vital information pertaining to the healthcare, or help for healthcare. And then somebody spiritually, because sometimes doing disasters and emergency stuff like that, we get all stressed out and winded up, and sometimes people just lose it. They're not thinking straight, they're not thinking right or whatever. And you need somebody that's going to be grounded, somebody who you can trust, and be like, I trust the decisions that you make for the group, because somebody don't prayed about that thing. Somebody be like, look, I trust that I think God want us to do this, or make a decision about this or whatever. Somebody who's a prayer warrior, a spiritual warrior, who gonna make sound judgment and guidance when it comes to how your plan, continues out the journey or whatever. So you want to make sure you have vital people part of that emergency plan as well. And when you're trying to make decisions, that they're part of that. So you want to keep them part of that, so that you can trust them in helping you make decisions as you're taking part into that journey or whatever. So those are just some little tidbits I wanted to bring, because nobody knows. We could be headed, for a global conflict someday. And I want to make sure that you guys are prepared and ready, and have stuff in place for things like that, and don't be caught off guard, because we never know. We never know. And we want to make sure that we're not, things are available. We know that, everybody else make sure their stuff in place, and they won't give give the information to, other people to make sure that they have their stuff in place. So I want to make sure you guys have your stuff in place. So if you don't have an emergency plan, get you one today, or start one today, or start building one today, or whatever. And if you need help, reach out to me and say, hey, you talked about an emergency plan, tell me some stuff I need to do again, or whatever, or go through some stuff, or send me that, the information again, and I'll help you. So it's not a problem, but definitely make sure, because I'm gonna make sure my kids have it, because I'm going to be retired. I'm not going to be around them all the time, but I need to make sure if I'm not within the same state as they are, I need to make sure that they're good. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure they both can carry too. They're going to both be licensed to carry. And I'm going to make sure that before I leave this area and leave my babies in this area, that they're going to both be licensed to carry. And I'm going to take them to get their stuff to be carried, to carry. So, and you got to make sure. So, these are things that you guys got to be prepared for, because you just never know. But, so just something to look for in like having an emergency plan for your family and things like that for the near future, or things that could possibly come up. But on a more up to beat note, look, Chit Chat Pod birthday is in a couple weeks, and I wanted to highlight some things that we're going to be doing. I know next week we have the Luck Doctor that'll be on next week, and he's excited. So he'll be doing a episode relating to hiding and healing. So and that episode will be relating to, are you really healing, or are you, hiding, pretending like, you okay, and you good, and you dealing with stuff, and and have not completely healed, because some people be like, yeah, I'm good, and then, they go on and do stuff, and they, it's the same, they're repeating the same cycles because they're not completely healed or whatever. So, they're hiding things, they're hiding, and hiding pains and wounds and things like that, of that nature. And so he'll be talking about that. And and we're gonna after the month of September, we'll go into October, celebrating breast cancer awareness. We'll be celebrating Chit Chat Podcast anniversary, and we'll be also doing a domestic violence awareness is also that month. And I think it's the I can't remember what else is that month. It's something else that month. I can't remember. It's something else that month. But we'll have, I think it's 3 things that month. I can't remember. But anyways, for Chit Chat Podcast. So we're going to be doing some fun things for Chit Chat Podcast for the whole month, because it's our anniversary month. So you'll have some trivia things for the whole month. So all week, during that week, we'll be doing stuff within the group, some trivia things during the week, and doing our podcast sessions on that Sunday. We will have a big trivia giveaway at the end of the month of October for our podcast listeners, and that giveaway is going to be a flat screen TV. And so but we'll give you the details about that, and how you'll be able to get a chance to win that. So it's going to be some details, be able to win that. We're trying to get our listening audience, we're trying to get our subscribers up. So there's going to be some little homework for you to do to get a chance to win it. But nevertheless, we'll give you an opportunity that we want to be able to bless somebody with the flat screen TV. But yeah, so there are going to be some things that we do that's going to be fun and exciting. So if you have, I can't tell you some of the things that are going to be happening, but if you've been a fan of the podcast for the last 2 years, it behooves you to, maybe go back and look at some past episodes. It might be some questions and stuff, just like we did for my birthday, um, my birthday episode for my birthday month. So, you just never know. It might help. But also, I wanted to bring up before we go off, one of our podcast listeners brought up something in a group about mentoring. And I wanted to bring that up because she had a question about how mentoring young, she's been finding it hard that young women, let me bring it up because I want to make sure I get it right. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to bring it up. Give me 1 second. Jada, do you have it? The one that Gabby had pulled up, because I'm not finding it in here. That Gabby had posted. I want to pull that up, but I'm not seeing it. I thought it was yesterday that she had it on here. Oh, I see it. Okay, so she said young women are threatened. Oh, you got it? Okay, yeah. She said young women are threatened by my help offer. Question: how can I help young women not feel threatened by other women who want to help or mentor or available to help or mentor them? I know this exists in all ages, but I'm mostly curious about younger 20s through early 30s. My brain says you can't help or mentor anyone who doesn't want it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. I strongly believe that women should support each other and not gatekeep information that will help others succeed. So, um, let's help her with this because I hate to see I hate to see people not open to mentoring. I know that um, mentorship may not be for everybody, but let me tell you how mentorship has helped me. Um, I have two mentors, and they're both different, and they both have provided me some very different details, and very different things, both personally and professionally. Um, they're my mentors, you know, professionally for my career, but they both have also provided me intricate details that have helped me personally in my life. And when I tell you that um, I needed both of them, I needed both of them for because it's so they're both different perspectives, um, and because they were women high in leadership. I knew where they were is where I wanted to be, and so um, I I trusted where they were, and I trusted what they was going to give me was going to help provide me the necessary details and information to get me there. So I allowed myself to be a sponge to take in everything that they was going to provide to me. Now I had a mentor before at my last duty station, and that person was just checking a box. They mentored me just to check a box to say they had a mentee, so that way when they was trying to get whatever they was trying to get on their career journey, they can say, oh yeah, I was mentoring this person, and me and her probably spoke two, maybe three times out the whole entire year. And so she barely checked on what I was doing, how I was doing at the time I was in a training program or whatever. And so, and I worked up under her organization. So it was not like I wasn't hands like near her for her to check on me. And so you want to make sure that those people who want to invest in you, like if people have the heart to invest in you, you want those people, because there's people out there who are just really trying to check a box, and they'll just do it so they can look good on paper, but they don't have the invested interest or the time to put in you. But when you have people who want to do it, who want to mentor you, who want to coach you, who want to be there for you, who want to put in that time, because everybody's time is valuable and precious. So if somebody giving up their time or whatever and they don't have to, trust me, that's value. And so you want to take that. And so those who don't want it, um my advice to her, don't feel bad about those who don't want it. That means they don't value what you're trying to give. And if they don't value what you're trying to give, then let it be ready for the next person. And don't take it to heart either, because it doesn't take away what you have to give to somebody. It's just not for that person. And so you know whoever it's for, they'll be ready for it, and that person is not ready for it. And so if that person's not ready for it, good, because then you're not wasting any time, because you don't want to waste any time either that you're trying to invest in and pull aside away from your time, your career, your personal time, your family or whatever, given to somebody who's not totally invested as well, because it worked both ways. Both people has to be invested. So that will be my advice. Because I've seen it. I've had mentors who are totally invested, and then I've had a mentor who wasn't invested, and I've seen how it the one who wasn't invested in me, it bothered me. Like I was unmotivated. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do anything because I felt like she didn't value me. She wasn't trying to give me anything. And so it didn't push me, it didn't motivate me. But these two y'all seen the stuff I've done this year. The stuff I've done this year is because the two women that I have had pouring into me in the last 2 years is because of those two mentors I have. And when I tell you, they the baddest GS15s out there. They the baddest GS15s out there. And I one has already retired. She retired this in September. So the beginning of September. So you look, I'm telling y'all, you have to make sure that people who are investing and pouring into you have the heart for it, and then they want to do it, and then you got to want to do it. You got to invest just as much as they want to invest in you. So it works both ways. So I was grateful that I had what I had this time was better than what I had the first time around. And when I tell you, it just catapulted me, it just pushed me. I mean, it was like something in me just, it made me just want to take off. You know, I'm always open minded when it comes to mentorship. I say just approach differently and tell the person you're in here for them regarding regarding whatever the help is that you want to help. Yeah, just let them know that here I'm available. Whatever you stand in need of, I'm here to be available for that, because sometimes they don't even know what they need. I mean, they need mentorship, so they don't know what they need or whatever. So because you're in a developmental stage when you're needing mentorship. Sometimes you don't even know what you need. So I'll tell you, I was writing everything. You know, my book is so full. I had used another book. That's how full it was. You know, And then just outside of them, other leaders, I got to shadow other people, my deputy director, I got to shadow I got to shadow my director, my director of the whole entire component. I shadowed him, you know, the whole entire day. So it's, that stuff is big. Like, so, you got to want it. And if people see that you want it, they will invest in you. They will invest in you, and if they see you invested, they're gonna give you more opportunities. They're gonna be like, hey, we got such and such coming up. You interested in that? And so they're gonna give you more opportunity if they see you hungry enough for it, if they see you're interested enough for it. And so my advice to you, Gabby, is, keep that same approach, because somebody's gonna be hungry enough for it and ready enough for your mentorship. So don't feel slotted if somebody is not looking for it. They may not know what they need, or they may not know what they stand in need for in a mentor. Just tell them what you're capable of providing. And then and if your approach in telling them what you're capable of providing, then it might help them decide on if they need it or if they want it. So, that might be a better approach to it. Here is what I'm able and capable of providing in mentorship. I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but this is what I'm capable of doing based off what what I have, what I've experienced, what I've done, kind of thing. So, but definitely keep it open, because I think mentorship is a great opportunity. I think we all should try to have a mentor. I think we should at least have a therapist and a mentor. I think that those are vital in our life, a therapist and a mentor, because I always think that there's somebody should be taking us up under our wing, grooming us or teaching us or whatever. In the Bible, Titus 2 talks about how the Titus 2 women was teaching the younger women. The wiser women was teaching the younger women. And that's what it should be about. The mature women should be teaching the younger women, and giving insight on that. And that's what it's supposed to be about. Mentorship should be about that. We should be equipping them so that they can be their best selves, and they can pass it down. They can pay it forward. Everything that I promise you, everything that has been taught to me or been given to me, I know I try my best to pay it forward. I don't hold nothing back, because I know how much has been held back from me before. So I try to make sure whatever I know, I try to teach other people, even with my job. I don't hold back any information. Whatever you want to know, let me teach you. Because when I leave here, I want everybody to be able to know the job, because I don't want nobody to be like, we didn't know how to do this because, Shadonna was the only person that did it. And, she the only one who knew how to do it. I want everybody to be able to know how to do the job, because at the end of the day, I'm not, as a leader, you're not a great leader until everybody on your team can lead. And so I'm not effective as a leader until everybody can do my damn job. If everybody can do my job, then I'm an effective leader, because that's what your job should be. You should be wanting to equip everybody to be able to be a leader. You should want everybody to try to be able to do your job, or to take your job. I want somebody to know how to do my job and to take my job. Everybody should be able to say, hey, look, I'm not an effective leader until everybody on my team can be a leader. And that's how I see it. But I guess we can end it with there. Jada, was there anything else that I missed? It was something on Facebook I had seen Valerie had put on there, and I told her, you need to come on the podcast and talk about that. It was a whole word. And I said, oh, she had posted this. And I said, girl, that's a whole word. You need to come on there and talk about this. She said, women in therapy often end up there because of the men in their lives who actually need needed the therapy. I was like, woo, girl. So I'm going to read that again. Women in therapy often women in therapy often end up there because of the men in their lives who actually needed the therapy. So think about that. See if that resonates with some of y'all. Are some of y'all in therapy because the men in your lives who are the ones who actually needed therapy, but you're the one in therapy? That's deep. I'm gonna bring that up next week when we have the love doctor on. See what he say about that. But yeah, that's deep because a lot of times a lot of stuff a lot of stuff is secondhand. We deal with a lot of secondhand stuff, you know. Um it's not really directly affecting us, but it's stuff that we're dealing with because of the people we're dealing with. So but guys, that's our open chat session today. I hope some of that stuff was good stuff for you today. You know, next week is the love doctor, Mr. Juan, to be on, and we'll be chatting with him. So bring your questions on if there's anything that you want to chat with him about concerning relationships, friendships, whatever, marriages. That's what he's on for. We have him once a month. So definitely come on and engage with him with any of your questions. It's not a one-way thing. He loves questions. So definitely bring the questions on. But and we look forward to celebrating Chit Chat Podcast anniversary month with you guys in October, doing some of the fun things as well in October with you guys. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for those who checked in today and took part in listening into the podcast. And if you're all into your football teams today, if you didn't get that W today, maybe next week. It's still early in the football season, so we can't get too caught up in the season just yet. But it still go Bucks over here. But you guys have a great rest of your Sunday evening and have a great week ahead. This week, I hope that is a great one, a blessed one. And I speak nothing but favor and blessings for you this week. Talk to you guys next week. See you soon. Bye.